What is going on, guys? I know it's been so long since I've been on YouTube, and I just want to give you a couple tips on how to deal when things get hard during your training plan and during your nutrition, and we'll go from there. So here's the intro. What's going on, guys? Jonathan Shane, also known as the Keto Road. Man, I gotta tell you, the past couple weeks have been so hard. So funny enough, if you watched my last video, I talked about how I went through a couple things of sickness in this last training block. Currently training for a marathon sub 3-hour attempt, as well as a 100-miler and a last man standing. So we've got a lot of races coming up. And at the beginning of training for all of this, I got RSV. It was right after Christmas. Right after that, I got a stomach bug, would put me out for another 3 or 4 days. And then about 2 weeks ago, I got something. We don't know what it is. I didn't test positive for COVID, but I had all the signs of it. Who knows? But regardless, it took me out. It took me out, and I'm still recovering from that with my marathon attempt a week and a half away. And so that, plus Ashley's pregnant, plus, running businesses and all the things. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think a lot of runners don't give themselves enough grace when things get in the way. And even like athletes in general, or even like if you're just like a person just trying to lose weight or just trying to get healthy, life happens and we beat ourselves up. And I really feel like that gets in the way of success long term. So I want to give you a couple tips on things that I try to do to remind myself and put myself in the right frame of mind for all of this. The first thing is remember that you're imperfect. I know that sounds cliche and subtle, but it's so true. Like, realize that you're not perfect. You have sicknesses that can happen. You have things that come up. Sometimes you make the wrong decision during a training plan or nutrition choice, or you stay up too late. So we're imperfect. Things happen. Of course, you have those really stellar athletes that just do everything right all the time. But even they have their stick-ups. Even they have their moments. You're not perfect. And why it's important to go into your training block with that kind of perspective is because it's going to help frame when bad things happen. Your frame of mind when bad things happen is super important because they're going to happen. Maybe not one training block, but the next one, right? I've had plenty of training blocks that went perfect, and we executed the race perfectly, and things went perfect, and we placed where we wanted to place, we hit the times we wanted to hit. That doesn't always happen. And even if you know that, it's still hard, but it's super important just to set the tone with I'm an imperfect person trying to do an extraordinary thing for myself and to inspire others and inspire myself and whatever your why is, and realize that have grace in that imperfection. Things are going to come up, and being willing to be okay with that ahead of time helps set you up for the right response, right? Because it's not the broken leg that kills us. It's how we recover from it. It's the response to the bad moment. It's the response to the bad training block. It's the response to the sickness. We tend to react harshly. We overtrain after the fact. We give up. We go one extreme or the other when we're put in a place of pressure and tension. And so coming from a place of okay, I know I'm not perfect. I know something might come up during this. I'm not wanting it to come up. I hope this goes perfect. But I'm ready for something to come up, and I know that I'm going to respond in a way that gives me grace and that gives me the opportunity to attack this from a much healthier place, so that therefore long term we see the progress we want to see overall. Okay. The second thing is knowing when to adjust, right? So we have this proper mindset, we have this healthy mindset, and then we get to the idea of okay, how do I adjust, right? Am I willing to adjust? So for example, we have a sub 3-hour attempt. I don't think I'm going to hit that mark. I was feeling good I was feeling okay, we have a chance up until this last time I got sick. But with the sickness, I've had about a week and a half, 2 weeks of not being able to hit the paces I want to hit. My legs are tired. I'm tired. My heart rate's super elevated. I was sick for at least 7 days. It was a rough one, and there's just a really high chance I'm not. We're gonna go for a faster time, but in the middle of the race, I'm already framing my mind of like, okay, I have a certain idea of what I want to try and do. But if I need to adjust a couple miles in and I need to accept that and just be grateful that I'm even able to be out there, because I could have gotten sick on the week of the race, right? So the fact that I can even be out there, the fact that I'm getting to run this race and I'm doing this thing that I love is enough. It is enough, right? And adjusting my frame of mind, like, okay, I guess we're going to go for like a 3:20. We're just going to go for a slight PR. Or maybe we're just going to try and run and have fun. Maybe 3 miles into it, I'm like, there's no way I can hold these paces. I'm just going to have to slow down and just enjoy myself and just run 26 miles because I do that. So just have fun with it, right? That might happen. And you have to be willing to be open-minded and okay with that before the race. Because in the middle of the race, you're not going to be okay with it. It's going to make you super emotional. You're either going to gas yourself and then not be able to finish the race, or you're just going to be super upset. It's going to be this negative experience. You're going to finish it not when you wanted to. You're beating yourself up the whole time. Like, and it makes the race blues post, it's so much worse. So just don't do that. Third thing is work with what you can, right? Like, so, for example, right, like I know where my heart rate's at, I know where my HRV's at, I know where my sleep's at, I know where my nutrition's at, and I understand that I have to adjust my taper, I have to adjust my mileage in the day right now. I'm kind of going day by day because I'm trying to keep my legs conditioned where they need to be conditioned, but I also have to take into consideration that my body's not fully recovered, and I've only got 8 days to get to the best possible position I can get to before this race. And so I have to make adjustments. And if that means skipping a run, that means skipping a run. If that means not work, I haven't been to the gym this week. Why? Because I know it's going to stress out my body and I don't need it, right? So being able to make those adjustments. And here's the thing too, and this is really important to understand, like working with what you have now, making adjustments stem from that initial thought process of like, things happen, it's okay, I don't have to beat myself up, let me give myself grace in this moment and go from there. That's why that's number one. That's why that's the initial tip I gave you, because these other two are much harder to manage if that is not the initial thought. Because if the initial thought is we're hell or high water, we're David Goggins in this, those two you don't do. You just completely ignore them and you drive yourself on the ground. And a lot of people create these really negative perpetual cycles when it comes to their training. And unfortunately, some people even burn out or they lose the love for what they do. And it really stems from like being way too much of a perfectionist and being way too hard on yourselves from the get. And so giving yourself grace there, making adjustments where you need to, and taking each day as it is after something happens, and just kind of trusting your body, doing what you need to do, resting when you need to rest, eating more food, eating less food, whatever that looks like for you, making those adjustments and working with the day and what it's given you is super important. So just kind of sharing my story with y'all and keep you updated. We'll do a whole full day of eating before a race next week. I just wanted to get on here. It's been a couple weeks just because it's been hard for me to make content because I'm just so out of it. But I just want to give you an update. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. Really appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to this video, and I'll see you in the next one.